Fine dining can happen in the comfort of your own home. And today, Chef Mike Soulier at KOMA Restaurant in Windsor, Ontario, caught up with CARP online and offers a delicious dish for those in the mood for Italian cuisine.
Yeah, today we're going to be making a dish called chicken sorrentino. It's a little bit of simplified version, so we can get it, cooked a little quicker. You could do it on a weeknight, no problem. 20, 25 minutes. And without further ado, I guess we could start. I'm going to add some vegetable oil to the pan here. I'm going to try to raise everything up so you guys can see it. It's over about, it's like medium-high heat for now. You want it pretty hot but not smoking.
What do you use for cooking oil?
For cooking oil, this is just vegetable oil. Just we're going to fry the chicken off in it. But first, we're going to dredge it in some seasoned flour.
What heat did you say you're going at? Medium heat?
Yeah, medium-high. I'm using an electric range right now, so typically I find those are a little cooler. So I've got it pretty high right now.
So you can use a variety of oils if you wanted.
Yeah, for just frying chicken off, I wouldn't use anything like expensive like olive oil. If you heat that up too high, then you lose the flavor, right? So we're going to use some after this, but for just frying chicken off, you can just use any plain oil. Vegetable oil, canola oil is fine, even corn. But I've got this lightly dredged, so I'm going to drop it into the oil. Turn my heat up a little bit.
Chicken breast?
It is chicken breast. So I took 2 chicken breasts and I just cut them in half, like lengthwise, like I butterflied them so they're a little thinner. That way they'll cook quicker. And we're going to cook this for about 45 minutes aside. We just want like a little bit of brown on it. We don't want to cook it too hot. And we're not going to finish cooking it in the pan right now. We're going to add it back to the pan after we finish the sauce. Okay, yeah, so this is a pretty simple dish. Like I said, after the chicken's done, we're going to add a chopped peppers, red pepper, red onion, white onion. And we're going to let those cook in some olive oil. I'm going to add some olive oil to the pan after this. And then we're going to deglaze the pan with some white wine. Just get all those good bits of flour and everything off the bottom of the pan. That's going to help build the sauce. It's going to help thicken it up a little bit. And after we go from there, I have about 2 cups of chicken stock mixed with 2 cups of good Italian plum tomato, like a San Marzano. If you can get them, I'd recommend good Italian plum tomatoes from the can. But you can use whatever you'd like. And say we have a bunch of fresh herbs. We have lots of basil. We have fresh tarragon. We have fresh thyme. We have more basil than anything because it's you can't use too much fresh herb. It's hard to. If you're going to use dried herbs, I'd definitely dial it down a bit. It's easy to overdo it with dried herbs, but it's totally acceptable to use them if you have it. But if you can, fresh is definitely the way to go. I think our chicken's good to come out, so I'm just going to take it out, put it back on the plate, let it rest for a minute. Put that down here. So I got our heat up a little higher than medium hot. I got it like fully cranked right now just to get some heat to the pan. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to it. And then we're going to add all of our red pepper, red onion, white onion. Let's see if you guys can see that. I'll try not to make a mess. But we're going to let that cook for 5 or 6 minutes. You just want to soften them. You don't want to brown them per se, but we'll get some heat through them.
We can't see the frying.
I'll try to tilt it. I'll just try not to spill any oil on you.
And that's for the 4 pieces of chicken, is it?
Yep, so we're going to build the sauce. It's all in one pan. So we're going to build a sauce in here with all the stuff I showed you guys already. Then we're going to slide the chicken back into it and kind of bury it underneath everything. And then we're going to simmer it for about 10 minutes to cook the chicken through. And then when it's almost all said and done, we have fresh Bocconcini cheese right here. We're just going to tear that up, put it on top. And usually I'd finish it in the oven, but since we're out here in the dining room today, I'm just going to put a lid over it and let it steam so the cheese melts. And that'll be basically it. All right, I feel like these are just soft enough now. I'm going to deglaze the pan with some white wine, about 1/4 cup, maybe more.
Does it matter
Generally, the rule is don't cook with wine you wouldn't drink. So it's not worth it to get the cheap stuff because it's going to end up tasting cheap. Or it's going to end up tasting like that, right? So this is just our house white wine we cook with. We actually use a lot of it here. So we're just going to cook the white wine out so it's almost all the way evaporated. You can leave a little bit in there, but you want to cook off that raw wine taste, or else you'll end up tasting it in the finished dish. All right. I think our wine's just cooked out enough. I'm going to add all the fresh herbs right now. You don't want to do it too early because you don't want to overcook the herbs and they'll get, soft and, darker. You want to keep that fresh flavor in there, so you don't want to cook them out too long. And it does look like a lot of herbs, but trust me, it's not going to be overpowering by any means. Okay, so right now I'm going to add the mixture of tomato and chicken stock to the pan. I might not need all of it. I kind of just brought a little bit extra than the amounts I provided in the recipe, just in case. And I say I might not be able to bring the pan up now. I might risk spilling it everywhere.
I can see it. The camera shifted. So it's a good view now.
Perfect. So we're going to slide the chicken back underneath the sauce here.
That's a lot of sauce, isn't it?
It'll reduce down, and that's kind of the whole dish is the peppers and onions and tomatoes like that, but it will reduce down. And this is the dish you can typically serve over like rice or like a pasta of your choice. Today I just have some homemade bread we make here every day. So you want enough sauce to maybe coat the rice or coat the noodles of your choice. But it will reduce down. I'm going to get rid of these raw chicken tongs now. Yeah, we're just going to let that come back up to a simmer, and we're going to cook it for about 10-15 minutes, so there's not going to be a whole lot of action for a little bit. All right, I think we're good to put some cheese on this now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to tear them up into little pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything. And you can put as much or as little cheese as you want on it. It's Bocconcini, right? So, there's no sodium, you can't feel bad about eating too much of it, right? Just a nice fresh cheese. And this is going to kind of melt down in the sauce, but you'll still see some you'll be able to see the pieces of cheese. So that way, when you scoop it up, everyone gets a little bit. Let's see. Oh yeah, I grabbed enough for sure. Where else can I fit some in here? All right, so usually I would finish this in the oven, like I said, but since we're out here in the dining room, I'm just going to cover it with the pan so the cheese will melt. And hopefully in about 5 or maybe 6 or 7 minutes, we'll be done. Here's the hoping. I'd say we're just about done, the cooking process. You could let it reduce down a little bit longer, but if you're going to have noodles with it or something, you want a little bit of sauce to go with them, this is a perfectly acceptable level. And once you kind of mix it around, you'll find it's a little thicker at the bottom. So once you scoop it out, it'll kind of, you'll see it's not as thin as it looks on the top. I think we call it good right now. I'm gonna put a lot of Asiago cheese on the top of this, just because that's my personal preference. And I'm gonna put even more on it when we put it in the bowl as well, because I like it. This will kind of tighten up the sauce a little bit too. If you notice, it's a little bit thin on the top. And this will just add some more flavor to the dish as well. Another level of depth, I guess you could say.
Really nice to hear. It's the local cheese. That's great.
Yeah, Galati is great. I love seeing those big boxes of cheese when they come in. I'll do a little bit of basil now, and I'll do a little bit too after the plating. But I'd say that is a finished dish. So we could, if you'd like to, we can put some in a bowl right now. Or you can let it chill for a minute. We can do whatever you'd like. Oh, no. I'm going to bring the pan over there if that makes sense to you.
Okay, yeah.
If you can make that work. Is that fine? Cool. Yeah, so I got 4 pieces of chicken here. You could call this a dish for 2. Or one really, really, really hungry person. But there is plenty of food to go around. So yeah, like I said, I left it a little bit thin in case you want to put some pasta underneath it or some rice or something. But I think the point of this would just be to sop up all the sauce with the bread I brought over. We good. I got rags. We're good. Try to get some of the peppers and onions out of there, some of the cheese that melted down in there. And I'm going to clean up my bowl that I just made a mess of. Perfect. And once again, I'm just going to go over the top again with some more Asiago because you can't really go wrong. You can't overdo it. It's just cheese, right?
No. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And you could, too, just finish it with a little bit of fresh olive oil if you want that taste, which would be really nice with the bread. And I'm going to finish it with the last of this fresh basil here, just so it looks pretty. Food tastes better when it looks good, right? You eat with your eyes first. Let me just put some bread there on the side. And I would call that done. Thank you. That is true. I haven't had breakfast yet either, so it's a good thing we're doing this today. Yeah. Yeah, I took my time making it as well, so I mean, you could do this a little bit quicker at home if you're in a pinch. It's definitely a quick dish, but we're in no rush here today, so we took our time. Hi guys, this is Chef Mike Soulier at KOMA Restaurant. Thanks for joining us today. I hope I inspired you to maybe cook a little bit more at home and maybe try this dish out specifically.